welcome to the Jamal Thomas Show. I hope you guys can hear me all right. I'm in my new environment and I don't quite know what the sound is going to be like until I do the video. And I want to do this video before tomorrow. Um, Big news, interesting news nonetheless. I want to say that I called this, nailed it. Joe Biden has pardoned his son. Hunter Biden has gotten a pardon from his dad. A pardon from his dad. This was, on some level, I would argue, expected. At least, I expected it. Hell, I even called it and said this was something that was going to take place. And it did take place. Joe Biden issued a statement from the White House. I'm going to get to the statement in a moment. But let's be clear, though. This isn't what Joe Biden wanted. They wanted this to be fixed through the courts. And with it fixed through the court, Joe Biden's hands would have never had to be on it. That's not how it ended up working, though. The way it ended up working was a judge who decided to ask questions ended up, let's say, putting Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, in somewhat of a spot. If you remember, when they went to trial for, 5 years? The case kind of just lingered. And they went to court after, the whistleblowers came out and were very clear, like, look, we are not being given a fair way of going after this case. And because of that, it put pressure on Weiss to do something about it. All right. So they hurry, they bring a trial, the trial takes place, or at the very least, they bring the charges. All right. They go to trial. When they go to trial, the judge asks, well, wait a minute. Is this for all charges? Meaning, is there going to be a fair charge that comes up later? And if that fair charge comes up later, then what? Well, Hunter Biden's attorney said no. The prosecution said maybe. And with that maybe, you ended up with a situation where the case imploded. And when the case imploded, they went back to the drawing board. And in going back to the drawing board, they drew up charges, actual charges. And it wasn't just charges that were going to take place in regards to the federal court, in regards to the gun charge. There were also charges that were going to take place in California because there was a tax charge in California that Hunter Biden had to deal with. The jury has not, the judge has not even presided a sentence in the case that was taking place for the gun charge. It was supposed to take place, and then it was punted further out. The tax charge case, Hunter Biden, out of the blue, says, fair enough, I'm guilty, I did it. I don't want to put my family through another trial, and so I'm just going to kowtow to the charges. You got me. You got me. All right. That was postponed until, I believe, December. And December 17th, if I'm not mistaken. So, to be very clear, none of these cases have gone to a jury in order for that jury to preside sentence, or for that matter, for a judge to preside sentence. Up to this point, he was convicted in one case, and in the other case, he pleaded guilty. Convicted felon. Hunter Biden was facing actual jail time over this. He has lived an interesting life, to put it mildly. The wild part about it is, I remember when Joe Biden came out, it was very clearly, when asked, will you pardon your kid? Joe Biden's response was this.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Hunter Biden.
I would abide by the jury's decision, and I would not pardon him. He was very clear. I am not going to pardon my son. And you can imagine why he said he wasn't going to pardon his son. It would look bad. They were going after Donald Trump in one state after the next. And in going after Donald Trump in one state after the next, there was a question of whether or not Trump was going to pardon himself. And so it looks good to say we have this felon on this other side. And we have this dad who's dealing with a kid going through a tough time with addiction. And in going through a tough time, however, I, Joe Biden, believe in the law. Because after all, we're going after this guy with the law. And this guy is saying the court cases are rigged against him, but I, Joe Biden, believe in the justice system. And because I, Joe Biden, believe in the justice system, and I believe my son, who had a difficult time, he will get a fair trial. Because after all, I believe in the justice system, whereas the other guy keeps saying is rigged against me. I kept saying that more likely than not, this would take place. There's no downside for Joe Biden in this. And not just no downside in it, it's a kid. That doesn't necessarily make it right. And not just not make it right, it's somewhat outrageous. It's not like, I remember when Joe Biden gave the speech where he clearly said, I don't care how those kids were raised. Joe Biden was also one of those people with the crime bill that changed crack and cocaine so people would get longer sentences for crack as opposed to cocaine. Hunter Biden was a crackhead. Full stop. I'm pointing out that Joe Biden has led a career where he had no issue putting people in cages because of drug addiction. And now you have a crackhead kid of his, and he just so happened to be president of the United States and be in a unique position to give his kid a pass, despite the fact that his kid was guilty of sin. It's that. To go into details, the jury selection was about to let's start at the beginning. In June, Hunter Biden faced 3 felony firearm offenses. Now, he pleaded guilty to a separate felony case. Let's start at the beginning. There were multiple felony offenses for the gun charge. The gun charge was because he went to buy a gun and he lied on the gun form. He effectively said, A, he was not a crackhead or he wasn't doing drugs. And this had to do with a federal licensed gun dealer and possession of the gun by a person who's an unlawful user of an addicted controlled substance. So in October 2018, he ticked the box that said, no, I am not an unlawful user of substances or addicted to controlled substances. Now, this was obviously a lie. But they're arguing, his lawyers argued, that he did not consider himself a drug addict at the time that he filled out that form. However, the prosecution pointed out that Joe Biden was addicted to crack before, during, and after he purchased that gun. And they also pointed out in court, and I'm going to read this, prosecutors showed the court that Biden texted Haley Biden, his sister-in-law turned girlfriend, to say that he was, quote, waiting for a dealer named Mookie, unquote. A day after the text, he texted that he was, quote, sleeping on a car, smoking crack on the 4th Street and Rodney in Wilmington, Delaware. A jury of his peers deliberated for 3 hours across 2 days, and they found Hunter Biden guilty on all 3 charges. Now, for the other case, the tax case, that was supposed to take place in November. He was supposed to be sentenced on November 13th for this case. They got punted, in which case Joe Biden intervened before anything came out of that one. In the other case, he was filling 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses regarding the failure to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes. Jury selection was supposed to take place in Los Angeles federal court in on December 16th. Well, all of that is somewhat moved because Papa got involved. And with Papa getting involved, he, yeah, okay, yeah, Papa got involved. And so Joe Biden, he didn't come out and say anything. He didn't come out and say anything. He put out an announcement from the White House, and it says the pardon applies to offenses against U.S. that Hunter Biden has, quote, committed or may have committed from January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2024. 10 years. 10 years. He gave him a free pass for 10 years of calamity, mischief, crack addiction, etc., not even having to pay his taxes. That is outrageous. And I know his sugar bro paid his taxes. I'm just making the point that Hunter Biden was having the time of his life during that time frame. And Joe Biden just effectively said, it is all washed away. Your sins have been washed away. I would love for people to be able to get second chances like that. But that is not the way our justice system works. It just so happens you need your dad to be president of the United States to get that benefit. He says, quote, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. This is what he wrote in his statement. He said, from the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department decision making, and I kept my word even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like the use of a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Biden added, those who were late paying their taxes because of a serious addiction but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president will come to this decision. Weiss did not want to bring the trial, meaning they were literally trying to avoid prosecuting Hunter Biden. They were preventing agents from looking into Hunter Biden and, for that matter, by extension, Joe Biden himself. Meaning this is what was taking place in the Justice Department. So to hear this is selective prosecution is a bit outrageous. This is a bit outrageous. And we don't even know what the sentence was even going to be. Meaning there might have been a non-jail sentence for this. We don't know. Joe Biden could have done that after they sentenced Hunter Biden. But he did it now. I want him to be free of any charges, free of any blame. Anything that he has done in that 10 years has been wiped clean. And this argument that, well, he was a drug addict. So, it shouldn't be that bad in regards to his crimes. I will tell you, a poor black drug addict who commits another crime is not going to get the soft eye from the justice system in the way that Joe Biden believes that people will. It's not that I think they throw people in jail on a whim. It's just they don't typically have $1.5 million in taxes they were owed, or for that matter, lying on gun forms. Like Wesley Snipes got 3 years in prison. I think they say he owed like $38 million. They didn't give him a soft eye. And I know 38 million is a big difference. Well, they say he earned 38, the amount that he owed in taxes. I'm not sure the exact amount. Usually it's a third. So let's say he owed 10 million in taxes, give or take. That is different than the 1.5 million. But Snipes got 3 years in prison, meaning he wasn't getting a soft eye on this. And again, we have no idea how much time, if any, Hunter Biden would have received. It doesn't matter now, because Joe Biden, despite the fact that he said, I will not pardon my son, that is not something I'm going to do. because I believe in the justice system. And because I believe in the justice system, that is not something that I, Joe Biden, will do. Let's hear him again. Don't take my word for it.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him. With regard to the
I will not pardon him. Look, man, I wish I had a dad that could get me out of any crimes that I would commit over a period of time. I wish I could use, hey man, I'm addicted to substances as a get out of free card when I commit other crimes because I had a dad that can get me out of that. I would imagine there are a lot of people who are sitting in jail wishing that they could have a dad who could get them out because they were addicted to something. And again, I want to point out before I close this, Joe Biden was one of those people that was pushing that crime bill that they knew was going to put all of those people in prison for longer sentences. He knew it, he did it, and now his crack addicted son, who under normal circumstances would have, I would imagine if he was caught for crack, he would have spent a long time in prison. He was able to get away with that, despite the fact everybody knew he was a crackhead. I'm saying that it is a bit rich that the man who sat in Congress and argued in the well of Congress, I don't care what kind of upbringing, I don't care if they had a hard life, I don't care. Put him in jail. And yet, for his son, it's a much softer crack addiction. Meaning we should look at it softer. We shouldn't necessarily look at it with a harsh eye in the way Joe Biden was looking at all of the other crackheads that he sent to prison for a very long time. It is a bit rich that Joe Biden is using, hey, he was addicted to crack, as somewhat of a get out of free card or some kind of justification for the commission of another crime. Most people don't get that. And nobody has a dad ever to be able to bail them out of prison using presidential power. Meaning he has crossed over the federal government with his personal dilemmas in order to get his kid out of jail. And he waited until after the election because A, he didn't necessarily want to deal with any kind of fall down consequences of doing so because he knew the public may have felt some kind of way about it. But B, to put this pressure on Trump of, I believe in democracy and the justice system and I'm going to let the justice system do what it does. And so Donald Trump, when he's saying he doesn't believe in it and that these are kangaroo courts, that is wrong, and we should believe in our justice system. Except for when it's my kid. When it's my kid, no, not when it's my kid. Except when it's my kid. Astonishing. I'm going to end this. I'm going to say like, share, subscribe. By the way, I have a damn good show for you guys tomorrow. So down in 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. Yeah, it'll be a damn good show. By the way, can you guys hear me all right? Is there any weirdness with the sound? I want to make sure before tomorrow. All right. I'm going to end this. You guys have a fantastic night. Signing off.